Well, hi everyone, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Monza, the backdrop of the beautiful Alps, and delighted to say that this world final weekend, Finale Mondiale, we're looking at the track, we're looking at the podium, and it's not raining. And that, truthfully, is a first this weekend. We reach Sunday, a very special day in terms of the Finale Mondiale, because we have the 3 World Championship races. The championships are all done and dusted. It's the pride now, the gold roof that I always say for the World Championship. And, of course, the massive Ferrari show to come a little bit later. Here's our circuit location, Autodromo di Monza. Delighted to welcome alongside me Pirelli World Champion, official Ferrari GT driver, Tony Valanda. Welcome, nice to see you. And first of all, Tony, many congratulations. You and Miguel, you nailed it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great year. As I've said many times, I really enjoy racing in US, and it was nice to bring my first championship over there, from there.
So here we are then, Finale Mondiale weekend. As part of Ferrari, this really is a special weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not been an easy week because of the weather.
Sure.
It's been challenging program-wise. Also today, the program started really early in the morning to finish everything in right time before the dark, and the day goes down. So it's a great week. A lot of race cars, a lot of Ferrari history. Is an event not only for the Ferrari fans, but in general, if you like cars, beautiful cars, you're passionate about racing, this is the right weekend to be.
Thank you, Tony. Let's recap on what a season we have had. And it all reaches its conclusion now with the Finale Mondiale as we look at the Hublot safety car that will lead these cars away for the first of our world final races, which is for the Copa Shell AM class. Now, this is the first time that this world final has ever been contested, because it's the first time we've had an AM category within Copa Shell. Now, as a racing driver, Tony, I'm guessing there's no such thing as a fun race. You know, you're not there for fun. You want to be winning it. But for all of these drivers that are represented by Europe, North America, Asia Pacific, all the regions, has all the pressure gone now because the championship is done? But actually, there's something so special about having the world final race win.
Yeah, I think the main pressure is gone. The real challenge for the championship is gone. Now the exciting thing is to see your pace and racing with the drivers and teams from other continents.
Yes.
And to challenge yourself to see how well you can perform, I think is a good challenge. Fun race, no. You're still the effort is there, the concentration, and to always do a good job.
You mentioned just a few moments ago with regards to your success in the USA, and you love racing in the USA. Is there a different mindset, Tony? Is it different, when you go from Europe to the USA in terms of racing? How can it be different?
Yeah, the difference starts from the fan base.
Okay.
They have different way of expressing themselves. The merchandise, they dress like the team they are cheering for, and they know a lot of history of all of the drivers. So a little bit more passion than in Europe. Maybe in Europe we are used to be treated too good, Formula One obviously is the main thing, but there's a lot of racing below that and a lot of interesting stuff, and maybe in US it's a little bit more appreciated.
And when you go there as a European, you're a superstar driver, no question about that, but are you welcomed in the same vein as a European racing in the USA, Tony?
Yeah, I haven't seen any issues on that. It's been always great, and you need to remember I'm almost a senior racer now, so closing to my 40s, so I've been around for a few years.
This man, Laurent Damouz, has raced in the Ferrari Challenge this year as a Shell AM driver, and this is what I love about motorsport. Yesterday, beg your pardon, it was Saturday. It was Friday, I'll get it right in a moment. He took his first race win. He had ambitions for a podium this weekend, but he actually stood on the top step of the podium. And Tony, he's not too proud to admit, he cried. There was so much emotion, and it was lovely to see, because these drivers, of course, gentlemen racers, most of them, they've spent their life building a massive career, and now they're enjoying their racing. And And to get that first win at an iconic track like Monza, of course, it's very special, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been building a massive career in business, in life, in other sectors, and now racing for them is something like really extreme. And I've been on a podium to give the trophies a few times this weekend, and it's been full of emotion.
Enjoyable. Let's enjoy this clip now. That is one of the many special moments as part of Finale Mondiale, of course. Many of those gentlemen racers who are customers of Ferrari, of course, have the privilege, and it is such a privilege, Tony, to own one of the Scuderia's Formula One cars. And it's at events like this that they actually get to drive those cars, and that's something very, very special. We can see Marc Genet there, and of course racing drivers like yourself have a lot of input in terms of coaching these drivers to get the very best out of them and in those cars. But that's, as I say, an incredible privilege.
Yeah, Marc Genet many times set sort of the pace in the morning or in the afternoon session so that the drivers can compare their driving. Again, the target changes between the drivers. Some of them take it quite easy, some of them more serious. Physical preparation and the will to improve, to challenge themselves, and to be. There is actually some drivers that are really fast with those F1 cars, and they really take the car already to the limit. So it's another way of enjoying the Ferrari world. Less pressure. You're not really racing, but it's cool to see that stuff as well.
Indeed. The Finale Mondiale Copa Shell Am is what's going to take to track. So we bring together the drivers from North America and Asia Pacific and Europe, and Ingvar Madsen, the Scuderia Autoropa driver, is going from pole position. Murat Kuhardaroglu is alongside him. Laurent Demuse, who took his first win this weekend, goes from P3. Then it's Nussbaumer. Megru from the USA. David Decker from Asia Pacific, then occupying the third row of the grid. Then we see Aggie Smolka. Then it's Simon Palkra, Milstein, Moon and Iritani occupying the next three rows. We go from row 4 through to row 6, ahead of Mag, Xiao, Smith, Giovannis, Brook and Chang. Good mix of Asia Pacific and North American drivers there, with Per Falholt and Carver, Hegyi, Camp, Nagataperna and Chimseri, going from row 10 all the way through to completing row 12. And then we have Liang, Giuseppe Ramelli, who had a big off yesterday, but thankfully the car has been repaired and he's fine. And Katijas going from the very back of the grid. 27 cars on the Monza circuit, which I would say, Tony Verlander, is bone dry now on the racing line. I think it's if you go offline that maybe there might still be some dampness there.
Yeah, drivers need to be careful, especially going to places like Lesmo 1 and 2 and the exit curbs. There's some trees, and those are the places that take more time to dry out. Definitely false leaks, but some special attention for the damp places.
Thank you very much. We're delighted to have Tony Verlander alongside us for the duration of this first of the 3 World Championship races to come here from Monza, the Temple of Speed, this weekend. So as the cars head on their formation lap now, led around by the Hublot safety car, Ingvar Madsen and Murat Kuhardaroglu European drivers occupy the front row of the grid, and we go through the first chicane, which has seen a number of offs. We've got a big number of cars, to be fair, to contest this world final. All the social media at the top of your screen, please be a part of the Ferrari Challenge. And of course, next year, we increase the Ferrari Challenge. Not only do we have Asia Pacific, not only do we have North America, and of course Europe. For the first time ever, we have a dedicated Ferrari Challenge in my home country in the UK, Tony, which of course has been the birthplace for some fantastic racing drivers and racing cars as well.
Yeah, I heard the announcement on yesterday's gala dinner, and it was a great news. I haven't raced a lot in UK.
Have you not?
I think Silverstone is the only track I raced over there, so maybe Ferrari asked me to join one of the events with the Challenge UK. Maybe not as a racing driver, but to see the event, so it would be cool. Okay, well,
it would be our delight to welcome you to tracks that we will be appearing at with the Ferrari Challenge UK, which will include Croft and Snetterton and Brands Hatch and indeed Silverstone. So looking forward to that four-event first dedicated GB series for the Ferrari Challenge. Of course, we've had a number of British drivers that have come in and been competitive in the European series over the years, and of course that will always be a target and an aim, presumably for those drivers that compete in the GB series, will be to elevate themselves into the European series. For the North American and Asia Pacific drivers, this is as critical as it is to the European ones. Everything is equal. The championship is done and dusted. It's all down to the gold roof now. 30 minutes of racing to come for the Ferrari Challenge. Copa Shell Am World Final Race. So the cars then will come around the parabolica and head towards the lighting gantry. And when those 5 red lights go from red to green, we will be away and racing. My bet is Murat Kuhardaroglu is going to be from P2, the most lively right at the start of the race. But Ingvar Madsen does get a good start, so too does Murat Kuhardaroglu. They are absolutely side by side. Laurent Damouz is being mugged a little bit by Alexander Nussbaumer and also by John Maygrue, but Murat Kuhardaroglu is trying to get his nose in front going into the first chicane, and indeed does so, puts himself into P1. Aggie Smolker is right alongside Laurent Damouz, who's moving further down the order now. Hopefully all the cars can make it through the first chicane all okay, and that's the first pinch point on this Monza circuit, and it looks as though one has gone round, Tony, at the back of the pack.
Yeah, it looked as a great start. The leader really kept the pace after the safety car went in, so on that side everything looked really well. It was a challenging first corner. Most of the racing has been done with wet tires in rain condition, and this is what happened. We saw now.
We didn't see this live, did we? It's Al Hegyi who has got significant damage to that 488 car. Now, you picked up better than I did that a car had gone around. Wonder whether that was part of that incident. The Rosso Corsa team look on then, and there is the Al Hegyi car. Al is out of the car and is perfectly okay. Let's see if we can pick it up here. Oh.
Yeah, it's already, the contact has been already in the braking zone, and now a big damage on the front of the car.
That's huge, isn't it? And that's the Karim Nagataperna car.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as we see, a lot of liquid is going down to the first chicane, and this will take some time to clean it up.
That's kind of the worst place to have lots of liquid, isn't it?
Yeah. I was about to say, it was a challenging first corner because a lot of the racing practice has done under wet wet conditions, wet weather tires. So the drivers didn't have an exact reference for the start. That it's not like they've been practicing starts on slick. So you could see that the pole sitter was sort of taking it easy and lost one place going to turn one. But now we have to wait and see how long it takes until we get back to green.
Well, I think it will be a little while, the clear-up operation. I mean, the car of Karim Nagatoperna is absolutely destroyed at the front. Now, the safety car is going to lead the cars through the escape road, Tony, and that's primarily for safety reasons while that clean-up operation continues.
Yeah, it gives more space to the track marshals to do their job and to avoid unnecessary risks. Marshals being on the track, and this is a procedure that you see every now and then when the action has happened in the first chicane.
Under the safety car, of course, the clock continues to count down, and just pleased to see that Al Hegyi was out of the car okay. I'm assuming that Karim Nagatoperna is okay. Let's get a replay of this start, Tony. So Ingvar Mattsson and Murat Kuhardaroglu absolutely side by side. Alexander Nussbaumer was looking very, very lively. But it's a real drag race to this chicane, isn't it? And sometimes being on the outside is the better place because that becomes the inside for the chicane, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot about the confidence going into the braking and who does the best job braking late but still managing to do the corner. Yesterday there were some issues in various starts when the safety car pulled off. The leader wanted to accelerate too early. So I think that has been mentioned for today. So to avoid penalties as a race leader, you need to wait and keep the pace around 70 kph until the lights go off. Then you can accelerate. That's why the grid was sort of trying to open a little bit. In a perfect world, it would have been two clean lines, but as you see outside the white car, it wants to open, and the pressure is there. But overall, I would say was a clean and a good start until we went to braking in turn one.
Yeah. Well, we just saw from our heli shot that accident, and let's take a look and see if we can pick it up on this camera here. It's one car getting out onto the grass, I think, Tony. Oh, you just saw that car going around.
Yeah, it's just to the braking point, so seeing the damage on the car, the contact needed to be already at high speed.
Yeah.
So the contact has happened before going into turn one, because this is one of the slowest places on the track. So if it's between turn one and two, you don't do a damage like this.
No.
And this has happened still at full throttle, going into braking, contact, something has upset the car at the braking point, lose the car, and then you pick up and collect other cars.
A very good point you have made is that because most of the running this weekend has been in the wet, it's having that reference point, isn't it? By being on slick tyres, knowing where and how far you can push it and when not to push it, etc., etc. What I will say is that the development of this 488 Challenge car, let's see it from this replay shot first of all, Tony, before I go into that. See, that's it. That car just got on the grass.
Yeah.
And it's then a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah, so the left rear.
So that was the Bradley Smith car, perhaps?
Yeah, that seemed like that car was sort of spinning alone, and the other big accident happened in the other place.
Maybe. What I was going to go on to say before we saw the replay of that is when Ferrari developed this 488 Challenge car, they took an awful lot of information from GT drivers like yourselves in terms of designing this car, and the integral safety is remarkable. It's a very, very good car.
Yeah, it's a well-built car. We've seen some big accidents with these cars, this type of racing, and the car is strong, and the safety equipment on this car is really, really well built. There's been our input also in the development, performance-wise. I was not the driver who was a lot involved in the testing of this car, but I know Andrea Bertolini, Maurizio Mediani, other drivers that are more based in Italy. They spend a lot of time getting things right, doing a good job to ultimately give a better product and a car that is really fast. It has a lot of power. The aerodynamics have taken another step. we came up with a bigger rear wing and stuff a few years ago, and everything is step by step, always more performance.
Yes.
But as you said, the main thing is always the safety. We have drivers with a lot of different skill levels, and you need to have the basics right before you can go to a more extreme stuff. So in my opinion, the challenge car and the racing in general is a good platform. As you said, you see drivers that 12 months ago they didn't have a license, they didn't have a racing experience, and yesterday or this year they are race winners. The emotion is there and the will to do more.
Yes.
They want to do more, and obviously next step then is the actual GT racing, where again Ferrari has the products and the platforms to offer pure racing. But from next year there's always also a thing called the club.
Yes.
For the GT car owners.
Club GT.
Yeah. So there is a lot of different ways to enjoy racing. It's up to you. You want to be more serious, go racing, be a real sort of live in the professional world,
yeah,
in your own skill level and stuff like that. But then you can relax and still have the track days, and Ferrari has the right tools for those also.
Absolutely, provides enormous opportunities for whatever level, as you say, that you want to compete in, and the launch of Club GT as well. And something that's really interesting is over the with the introduction of this 488 challenge car, the most powerful Ferrari challenge car, first Ferrari challenge car with a turbo. What was really interesting is that those drivers that were perhaps new into the Ferrari Challenge seemed to get to grips with the 488 perhaps a little bit quicker than some of those more established Challenge drivers, because, of course, those Challenge drivers had been used to the 458 and perhaps even the 430 before that. And it was such a big step up, Tony. It was so different. You know, I'm not a racing driver, you are, and hugely successful. There's a big difference between driving a non-turbo car and a turbo car, apparently.
Yeah, it takes some. You need to change your driving a bit. You need to be aware what are the things you need to do to get most out of the race car, and there's always that little transition between the drivers getting used to it, but also on the technical side, you gather a lot of telemetry, you get a lot of knowledge, and you sort of fine-tune the car as well. What I've seen in our GT racing is that when we come up with the new car, it takes sort of that 6 to 9 months that we are really on top of our game, meaning that you go to a different racetrack setup-wise, you always fine-tune the car. At the same time, you improve the traction control, you improve the drivability of the engine, you do all that. It's a continuous work.
Yes.
And same thing here on the technical side, even the cars are all the same, but the Ferrari stuff behind the scenes, they work all the time to improve all things. If there are some failures, the parts improve.
Yes.
It's a continuous work, and that's the same thing. When you come up with a new car, there are some new tricks, new secrets how to be fast. If we go to the young drivers, what I see overall is impressive how well prepared they are. You take young F1 drivers, you take young GT drivers, you take young challenge drivers. Seem like after a couple of days of testing, they've been out there for 10 years. Like the way they get the information and how well they are able to perform straight away, that's impressive, and that's the thing. Everything is faster, the drivers are better in physical shape, and they just get more up to speed.
Thanks very much, Tony Verlander. Let's listen and enjoy the images of the challenge show whilst the safety car continues to lead the cars around. And lots of spectators in who have made their way into the Monza circuit to enjoy this Finale Mondiale event. It's always something very, very special, particularly. We've had the Finale Mondiale events at fantastic locations, including Daytona and Abu Dhabi, amongst others. But actually, when it comes home to Italy, and Mugello is a favourite venue for the Finale Mondiale, but I think it's the first time in a number of years that we're back in Monza. I seem to recall 2000 and... might have been 2004. I'm tempted to think that last time we were here in Monza for the Finale Mondiale. So back here in Monza, this extraordinary circuit. Safety car is coming in this lap, Tony, and we can go back to racing. Almost half a race duration is done and dusted. That's going to put even more pressure on those that are at the front, of course. Murat Kuhadaroglu leading the race from Ingvar Madsen, Alexander Nussbaumer, then it's John Megru, and then Agata Smolka, David Dicker, and then Simon is P7, Laurent Demuse is P8, and then it's Dusan Palkra ahead of Mack, rounding out the top 10. So the safety car will come in this lap. You prepare yourself now for the safety car coming in by, I guess, trying to build a little bit of temperature into the brakes and tyres, Tony?
Yeah, those are the main two things. You get the message from your pit crew, warm up the tires and warm up the brakes, be ready for the race start. And yeah, this is always a race start in general is the one that really gets the heart rate up, and these restarts are the same thing. There's other places where it's more out of your control. When you go to a normal rhythm of racing, everything is more solid, straightforward. But as we can see now, these are the chances to gain places. And
Ingvar Madsen is having a look at the inside of Murat Kuhadaroglu. Can he scrub the speed off? Murat Kuhadaroglu on the inside, Ingvar Madsen on the outside. Oh, and Murat Kuhadaroglu, oh, big save. He managed to hold on to the car. Ingvar Madsen now leads this world final race. Alexander Nussbaumer up to P2 now, or is that John Megru? It's John Megru in P2. There's Laurent Demuse going through. So Ingvar Madsen, who's had so much success this year, a real gentleman driver, and he is trying to escape up the road now. And Aggie Smolka, the lady racer in car number 186, is looking very lively as well. So John Megru then is P2. There is Murat Kuhadaroglu, relegated now down to that P3 place. It's P4 now because Alexander Nussbaumer has managed to get by as well. And next, it's going to be Agata Smolka on the back bumper of the Murat Kuhadaroglu car. But now Ingvar Madsen has got past Tony. He's escaped up the road.
Yeah, it was a good restart from him. The driver leading the back, he got his 4 tires on the wet part of the circuit,
yes.
and the 3-4 corners after that, a place lost each corner more or less. So that is the challenge also in these conditions, is keep the car on the dry part of the racetrack, and not to get the humidity wet to your tires.
Murat Kuhadaroglu is carrying so much speed there as he tries to go through on Alexander Nussbaumer, and that failed, didn't it?
Yeah, it's not been a good first lap after the restart for him.
So we just about reach half distance in the race, and Ingvar Madsen then leading with a margin of some 2.2 seconds over John Megru. So it's European leading North America. Laurent Demuse in the all-yellow car that we can see at the back of that picture there. Of course, he was on the second row of the grid and has dropped down the order to P8, and he's trying to elevate himself up the order if he can. But Ingvar Madsen leading from John Megru. Then it's Alexander Nussbaumer and Murat Kuhadaroglu ahead of Agata Smolka. And then Simon is in that P6 place. David Dicker is P7. Ahead of Dusan Palkra, then it's Mack and Milstein rounding out the top 10. So here comes Murat Kuhadaroglu again on Alexander Nussbaumer, just showing his face to the inside of the Nussbaumer car, but nothing doing there. So Ingvar Madsen, who's podiumed a number of times in Kopeshel Am this year and at one point was leading the championship, can Ingvar Madsen hold on for the remaining 14 and a quarter minutes to this? He would be absolutely delighted to take the World Championship trophy home, and it would crown what has been a magnificent season for him. There's no question about that. The battle for P3 is between Murat Kuhadaroglu, who's also been hugely successful in Kopeshel Am this year, but as you can see, he's behind the Alexander Nussbaumer car now. And I have to be honest, Tony, if there was a driver that I think would overdrive, I think Murat is probably the man.
Yeah, it looks like in several braking points he's just overshooting the corner. That's the difficulty. He lost some positions to keep the concentration and keep the car on the right racing line all the time, but it seems like he's too anxious. He wants to get those places back too quickly, and it forces him to another set of errors, which we've seen in these last couple of laps.
Yes, I agree with you. From our heli shot then, as the cars made their way up to the chicane here at the 5.793 kilometre circuit. Here he comes then, Murat Kuhardaroglu, Alexander Nussbaumer in the 136 car. And Kuhardaroglu has got the pace, but we can see here a move going on further down the order. The 397 car. Now the restart is under investigation, we're being told by race control. Why would that be? It looked pretty clean to me.
Yeah, it did look okay to me. There's a thing that now when the safety car pulled out and the race leader needs to follow a procedure, that sometimes it varies a little bit between different championships, but the race leader is responsible for the speed. So that's one thing. And then going to turn one, if that is still sort of part of the start, if something happened on the main straight or stuff like that, if drivers already overtook a driver before the line, the finish line where the race restarts, those are the things that the race direction will be looking at.
Because that has created some confusion for me, because I always thought the rule was it wasn't the finish line, it was the safety car line, Tony.
No, I believe it was the race retakes here in Monza. There's two different lines. There's the start line, which is later on, and then there's the finish line. After the race safety car, so the restart, you go back to racing from the finish line.
Understood.
From the finish line, and the race direction, they have a list.
Yes.
At the order of the drivers, and what they do is just at the line, they want to see that everybody's in the same place.
In the right place.
In the right place. And yesterday I was actually driving standard advisor, but in the end I was involved in the penalties, meaning that my opinion was asked, but it's actually really difficult.
Yes.
Related to the accident and all that stuff.
No, Murat Kuhardaroglu on the inside of Alexander Nussbaumer. I'll tell you what, I didn't think he was going to be able to scrub the speed off there. Forgive me for interrupting you, Tony, but that came from a long way back, didn't it?
Yeah, now he got one place back. It was several corners and several braking points that he was trying to do that. It did look a little bit scary because the racing line he chose was all the way inside, where are still the wet parts of the track, and look that he was carrying way too much speed, but he was able to stop the car.
Now, Aggie Smolka has set the fastest lap. Her first season of racing here in the Ferrari Challenge, 1:55.308 in that 186 car. So Aggie Smolka doing a very good job. And of course, during the course of the Ferrari Challenge, the whole season long, the official Ferrari GT drivers have been included in that race control as an advisor, if you like, and I've likened it to poacher becomes gamekeeper on some occasions, but it's every driver that I've spoken to, Tony, said they really appreciated that experience and they realise how difficult it is, because you'll have been on the receiving end of penalties that you felt were unjust, but you know, you see it from a different side.
Yeah, it is true, because while you're racing out there, you feel like most of the decisions made, if they are against you, are unfair.
Of course.
But actually seeing the whole procedure, first of all, video replays, all the material that the race direction have in their disposal before they do the actual decision.
Yes.
Then you take a race in accidents. When there's a contact, there's two drivers that didn't agree going to a corner. So who is to blame? Who is to penalize? He's really tricky.
I think Murat Kuhardaroglu is targeting certainly the P2 place now, because he's really got onto the gearbox of John Maygrue, who was held onto that P2 place. Of course, all of this is playing into the hands of Ingvar Madsson, who's able to escape up the road in the lead and has got a margin now of 4.2 seconds. But as you just pointed out, Murat Kuhardaroglu is quick, isn't he, Tony? Yeah,
Murat is on it at this moment, at this stage of the race. A question or the thing that he was too anxious in the first part of the race, and he lost too much ground to the leader. Now he's back on a good speed. He's gaining back the lost ground in the beginning of the race, but this is the experience as well. the will to win or to succeed, but it needs to come out in the right way.
Yes.
If you put too much effort, or you say, now I'm going to show you guys how these things are done, you overshoot a couple of corners, and this is the situation. He has the speed, but he needs to fight back.
Out goes the 383 car, so problems there for Chaz Brook. And this is how it happened, going in and just contact there with the 355 488 car as well of Dale Katichis, and around goes the 383 car of Chaz Brook. So that was a replay of the restart following the safety car. Was there anything there that you saw?
Yeah, the image came so quickly, so I didn't manage to see it.
Drive-through penalty for car number 509, which is the Yancheng Liang car, for causing a collision. And Murat Kuhadaroglu then, as John McGrew is responding. And here comes Alexander Nussbaumer on Murat Kuhadaroglu as well. But John McGrew misses the turn in. So too does Murat Kuhadaroglu. Now, Murat is going to go ahead of McGrew there because McGrew shortcutted, but actually to a degree so did Murat, but not to the same extent, Tony. So those places will probably remain.
Yeah, it seems like it's a real braking game to the corners now. It seems like drivers who want to overtake another driver, the defending driver wants to take his braking point to the last meter as well, and especially the two chicanes. So the first one, and after Curva Grande, the second variante is a real tough places. You can see those front brakes really glowing red. And
here it is in replay then. Murat Kuhadaroglu.
Yeah, this is in the beginning of the race when he overshoot to
that's right. And that's a classic example of overdriving.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the overtaking is a kind of an art game as well. When you overtake a driver, you don't need to pass him by the whole distance of the car, or you don't need to sort of outbrake him by crazy stuff. It's enough to keep the speed, let the car roll side by side going into the corner, and this way you can still do the corner. Sometimes you see a driver that he comes a little bit too far away and wants to do miracles in braking, and often those things doesn't end up well. And this is a perfect example of it, overtaking until the braking, and he cannot stop the car.
So Agi Smolka then in the 186 car trying to get past Alexander Nussbaumer. What I did see as Alexander Nussbaumer just a few moments ago, as he braked and went into the parabolica, Tony, the back end of the car was very, very loose because, of course, you compress the front end of the car. That makes the rear end a bit lighter, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a mix of, let's say, ride height setup stuff, but also tire pressures. Again, we go to the same thing. Not a lot of dry running. Pressure-wise, the teams don't have a clear target on tire pressure. It's a cool morning in Monza, so do you start with a little bit higher pressure and ready for the first part of the race? Do you take a lower tire pressure, takes few laps, you trust your driver, and he's going to come up with his speed. So those are the two things.
Here comes John McGrew then back against Murat Kuhadaroglu. A little tap between the two of them, but McGrew has got back past Murat Kuhadaroglu. And what this is doing, it's allowing Alexander Nussbaumer and Agi Smolka, the lady racer, to join in. It's becoming a four-way battle for P2 in the race here.
Yeah, this is also playing really in a favor of the leader of the race, because it seems like the cars behind, they do have some more speed on a clear lap, but racing mostly every corner costs them a lot of time defending, so this is really playing for the leader.
When you're in that fight, you cannot be as quick as a clean lap, can you? It's impossibility. So Murat Kuhadaroglu is now ahead, but Agi Smolka has got ahead of Alexander Nussbaumer. And we're on board with Alexander Nussbaumer then, and you can see the display on the left-hand side of your picture here, up into 7th gear now. Absolutely flying down through the gearbox, then braking. Just missed kissing the apex of the turn, but be absolutely furious that Agata Smolka has managed to get past. So now on the start-finish straight, this is brilliant being on board here as they head up towards the first chicane, I beg your pardon. And Murat Kuhardaroglu once again taking a look at Megrou here. They're side by side. Kuhardaroglu on the inside. Megrou, there's a touch between the two. Well, there's more than a touch. So the door mirrors come off, and this is playing into the hands of Agi Smolka. So Megrou gets pushed back and actually ends up losing 2 places, Tony.
Really aggressive racing. There is little space left between the drivers, but there was also some contact, and the racing and the fighting continues.
And now Agi Smolka has got past Murat Kuhardaroglu. This is the best drive we've seen from Agi Smolka for the entire season. Absolutely brilliant. She is now P2 in the world final race. Murat Kuhardaroglu is dropping back down the order. Laurent Demouz is coming into this as well, because as they're fought, it's allowed the battles further back to get even closer, Tony. And we've only got 2.5 minutes of the race left.
It's remarkable to see how much speed some of the drivers have, but at the same time, with the racing, they are losing positions, not optimizing the racing line, not having the best flow of driving, but having a good lap, and now there's a contact.
That was Murat Kuhardaroglu and Laurent Demouz. Laurent Demouz, who had made himself up into P5, and Murat is now off, and you can see the shower of gravel.
I think it's going to be safety car, and probably
that would be declared, wouldn't it? And what a great shame. It's been a weekend of incredible highs for Laurent and incredible lows as well. He is not going to be finishing the world final race, because when you're beached in the gravel like that, it is all over. What a shame. So double waved yellows at turn number 9 then. So the Ascari and, well, Agi Smolka, what a race she has had. As Tony has indicated, Ingvar Madsen, everything went his way. Once he'd got the overtake done, then they started fighting behind him. He was rubbing his hands with invisible soap, saying, "Tar very much."
Yeah, exactly. At that stage, only a clean, solid driving was enough. And here we see the contact.
Oh.
This was more or less coming with the driving that there was for after the initial safety car. So this was coming out, and the race direction was not able to put a safety car because we're already on the last lap.
Absolutely. And it looked, just as I could see, the contact with Murat Kuhardaroglu on Laurent Demouz, it looked like he broke a track control arm or something, which is why he ended up in the barriers.
Yeah, exactly. After the contact, he had an issue on his race car.
So Ingvar Madsen then, who has had a stellar season in Copa-Shell, in the AM class throughout Europe, well, for his team, this will be extraordinary. Scuderia Autoropa. Ingvar Madsen then with lots of foliage in the cooling vents at the front, which is, of course, the Monza circuit with lots and lots of trees around, means that leaves all over the place. Now he has this straight and the parabolica to do. Agi Smolka is chasing, but he's a full 4.5 seconds down, barring absolute disaster for Ingvar Madsen. He should have this in the bag. The fight for the final podium place is up for grabs, though, as John Megrou on the entry to the parabolica makes contact with Alexander Nussbaumer. And the checkered flag waves. It's going to be Ingvar Madsen, his world champion. P2, the drive of her life, Agi Smolka. P3, provisionally, John Megrou. And here comes Alexander Nussbaumer, who's limping the car over the line. Extraordinary right at the very end of the race. I have to say I feel a little bit for Nussbaumer there, because Megrou was always going to have a go, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would say the theme of this race was a little bit too much optimism going into the braking zones, and wasn't always a fair play. There was some avoidable contacts. Difficult for race direction. The issue now, penalties that really influence most of the drivers that did have the contact, jeopardize their race. I think for P3 we will have some issues after the race, because it was quite aggressive going into the parabolica, but we are here to commentate and race direction.
Absolutely, and I'm jolly glad about that.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I'm jolly glad about that.
I'm happy that I'm not there right now.
But you are. Yeah. Ingvar Madsson, as I said, he's had an extraordinary season as we look at the 117 car of Dusan Palkra. Extraordinary race, full of drama, and Ingvar Madsson will be on the top step of the podium. We don't think that will be contested in any way, shape or form at all, because he had a race out on his own, truthfully. I also think the absolute race of her career from Aggie Smolka to take P2 in the world final race will be extraordinary. Now this was Murat Kuhardaroglu really launching Laurent Damouz into the gravel, which is a really bitter end. And a broken track control arm meant that he ended up in the barriers as well. And we can see it from a different angle there. So Ingvar Madsson, then Aggie Smolka and John Maygrew. So we have North America P3, assuming nothing changes, and Europe's Ingvar Madsson and Aggie Smolka then on the P1 and P2 steps of the podium. So Scuderia Autoropa taking the win with Ingvar Madsson, Agata Smolka P2, and at the moment the provisional classification shows John Maygrew as taking P3. So great mix there. All the information, of course, at races.ferrari.com. The cars will be in the Parc Fermé, and Ingvar Madsson, I don't know whether you saw last night at the glittering gala dinner that we were at, Tony, and you were very much a part of. Ingvar Madsson, whenever he's on the podium, he's done this little dance thing. And I think the podium celebrations will be very, very good. I think the dance will take on a more intensity. We will see. Cars number 509 and 133 are to report to race control. Well, 133, of course, is the car of Murat Kuhardaroglu, which we saw launching Laurent Damouz, and car 509 is Liang. So let's see the emotion as Ingvar Madsson jumps out of the car. Now he's a real gentleman racer, and he will be absolutely thrilled beyond belief. And there, all the congratulations from the team Scuderia Autoropa. He's a lovely, lovely man, and he's really, really enjoyed his racing in the Ferrari Challenge. And Tony, for these gentlemen drivers, that's what it's all about, isn't it? The race of her life from Aggie Smolka to take P2. Congratulated there by the Rosso Corsa team, even David Fuminelli in there to offer congratulations. There's Ingvar Madsson. That's the little dance. What on earth, Tony?
That was perfect.
Oh,
yeah, there was also a part of the racing suit coming out, and that looked awesome.
And John Maygrew then. What a race. Well, I'm looking forward to the podium, no end. So this heli shot then of the Monza circuit, our first of 3 world finals done and dusted. And of course the Ferrari show to come this afternoon as well. This final day of the Finale Mondiale weekend, always something very special indeed. And it'll be one that will be remembered for a long time by Ingvar Madsson and also Agata Smolka then. So let's try and recap and look at the highlights of the race action, and there were several incidents. So preparations then for the green lights to go on, and the cars then on the grid as we looked at the Hublot safety car. Tension would mount. Laurent Damouz, who'd been successful this weekend already. The cars headed towards the lighting gantry, and as the lights went green, Alexander Nussbaumer was lively right at the start. Murat Kuhardaroglu and Ingvar Madsson were almost side by side, but Murat Kuhardaroglu put his car P1. However, as most of the cars made their way through, some regrettably didn't, including that of Karim Nagadepurna and Al Hegyi. Safety car was deployed very early on in the race, and that of course meant that everyone would be bunched up once again for the restart behind the safety car. And when the safety car peeled off and we went back to racing again, Ingvar Madsson had found the loud pedal, and sure enough, he was going to overhaul Murat Kuhaduroglu going into the first chicane. You could see that Murat was trying to turn in, but the back end of the car just let go, and that meant he dropped several places. Ingvar Madsson was able to escape up the road, and Murat Kuhaduroglu was trying to bring back some of those places that he had lost. And well, it was an extraordinary race, and as I say, there were lots of incidents, and one of the cars going round was that of Dale Katichis. The tension on the pit wall was extraordinary. Inside the car, Murat Kuhaduroglu was trying everything to overhaul John Maygru. Ronnie Cassell to the right-hand side of your picture there, as both John Maygru and Murat Kuhaduroglu shortcutted the chicane. This fight went on and on and on, and it was playing into the hands of Agata Smolka, who was almost the silent assassin at this point in P4, ready to pounce like a viper. Unfortunately, Laurent Damouz really did get tipped out by Murat Kuhaduroglu, and this was on the final turn, on the final lap, and would decide P3. Ingvar Madsson would win from Aggie Smolka taking P2, and John Maygru, well, certainly on the road, took that P3 place. So here you can see the paddock at Monza, which is turned into this extraordinary Ferrari festival, almost, I'm tempted to say, with so much for you to see, do, and enjoy, and also spend your money on as well. There are some fine cars for display in the showroom, and we'll be heading up to the podium very, very soon. And we'll be seeing Ingvar Madsson, Agata Smolka, and John Maygru on the 3 steps of the podium, to the best of our knowledge. So there, the heli shot once again here at Monza as the podium is being prepared. The podium is literally, Tony, a few steps from where we are, isn't it? To the left of our commentary position here. And it's one of those, I mean, the track is iconic, but the podium as well is something very special because it kind of hangs out on the track, doesn't it?
Yeah, and special races like Formula One race here, you drive a Ferrari and you're on the podium. That is something that you will never forget. I think it's similar to a 24 hours of Le Mans podium. Yeah. Just huge crowd and fans cheering like crazy. So it's a really, really special place. I'd have to say that on the right side of the picture, the Ferrari garden is
yes.
It's incredible. The setup they've done here is something really special, and seems like every year it's getting bigger and bigger.
Wait for the dance, Tony, as we've seen John Maygru and Aggie Smolka on the podium. Here comes Ingvar Madsson. Love it. Love it. National anthem time. So the anthem plays out then for Ingvar Madsson, who is on the top step of the podium. And time for the trophy presentations then. John Maygru, Aggie Smolka, and Ingvar Madsson in receipt of their trophies. Davide Rigon then, the Ferrari official GT driver, making the trophy presentation to John Maygru and offering congratulations to Aggie Smolka and Ingvar Madsson as well. Sam Bird. All of these drivers, of course, colleagues of yours, Tony. Good camaraderie amongst you all, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a really good spirit in the team. We do a lot of stuff together. We do the training sessions before and during the season. long distance races where you have several drivers, you share the car, and those things are really that, you know, you start to know the drivers in and outside the racetrack, and that's really gives a good feeling, which is important. It's a team sport, so
yes,
when you go to a GT racing, so
Ingvar, I knew he would enjoy it up there. And tell me, my final question to you must be, of course, alongside your hugely successful racing, you're doing more and more television work, Tony, and you enjoy that.
Yeah, it's been great. I've been part of, I think it's my 5th year already with the Finnish TV broadcast on F1 races, so it's a good deal. The Ferrari things are the priority, but outside that we try to, together with Ferrari and the TV crew, to find the good places, weekends where I'm part of the broadcast, and it's been interesting. It's not an easy task to interview Toto Wolff or Maurizio Arrivabene, translate, do the stuff in Finnish, try to get a quote from Kimi, but it's been great. I've been always a big fan of Formula One. I've always followed Formula One.
Yeah.
And now to be sort of a little bit more inside into the sport, it's been really, really interesting. And yeah, I've also got some good feedback, so it helps sort of, I can be myself and still people are watching the broadcast and not switching off the TV or taking off the audio. So it's been interesting.
I have to say, you know, I've got a number of Finnish friends, and I count you as one of them. But you prepared me nicely for when Kimi joined me on the air in Daytona and did the job that you did. Actually, we got on really well. And it was great fun. Tony, we thank you once again for being with us today. I know you're going to be part of the Ferrari show a little bit later on, and hopefully you can keep out that steward's room and keep it on a microphone instead.
Yeah,
thank you very much,
perfect.
Tony Verlander.
Thank you so much.
So there we have it then. The first of the World Finals is done and dusted. Ingvar Matsson is the Copa Shell Am World Champion, and you can see him celebrating with the champagne on the podium. That was an absolutely remarkable race. Full of drama, full of controversy in some regards as well, but what an event it was. And if that's the precursor to what's to come with the rest of the World Final races, then we are in for some fantastic stuff. All the information, of course, at races.ferrari.com. That is the must-go-to website for you to go and check out where everything is. But we're going to look at the highlights once again from what was an extraordinary race. And from my voice for the moment, for the Copa Shell Am World Final, I say thank you very much. Thanks once again to Tony Verlander, and we'll see you for the next race very, very soon, live from Monza. Bye-bye for now.